Patrick, hit us with some stats, won't you?
Outcast, unfortunately, was released on September 22nd, 2014 in Beijing, but then had its actual release in the United States February 6th, 2015. So that's 5 months later. And then had its full release in China on April 3rd, 2015. So gotta wonder if that premiere didn't go well. 5 months in between the wide release and the premiere, which reminds me of a few movies that we've done recently, like Butcher's Cross, or, that we've talked about recently, Butcher's Crossing, huge gap between the premiere and the actual release date. The Surfer, which still has not come out in our timeline, premiered last year and it still hasn't come out wide. I think Sympathy for the Devil was the same way. So, yeah.
But The Surfer was getting good reviews, at least. It
was
had
it?
A lot of positive. That's what I was seeing. I was seeing positive reviews.
Do they generally not sit on movies if they're getting good reviews?
Yeah. Usually you want to chase that buzz. Had a budget of $25 million. Somebody spent $25 million to give us what we're about to talk about. But it made $5.1 million, which is way more than I expected it to have made.
Was that domestic or international?
I think it was everything wrapped together.
Okay, that's way less than I would expect.
Yeah, I would assume some
I would expect
Chinese,
to make at least $20 million in China.
Yeah. I wonder what that number is. I don't know if one of you guys wanted to look it up real quick. Like, what is the domestic gross? It may not be available anywhere. But.
I feel like this movie was like in the US at least was like direct to streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing that it shows is the international.
Yeah.
Which is $5,148,503.
So that's the whole. That's all it made.
Yeah, I don't know did it even get a theatrical American release? I don't think it did.
It says that it did. February 6th, 2015, there was a release in the United States. Maybe it was a small, indie theaters or something. But
well, Box Office Mojo has no domestic revenue for this movie. So it either didn't get a wide release or didn't get noted anywhere.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think that it actually got a rating. So it may
it was
have
unrated.
It may not have gotten a release.
So I think it was just straight to YouTube.
Can't imagine why.
Even YouTube didn't want this piece of shit. Like, no, thank you.
YouTube rejected it. They still took our shitty episodes of One Cage at a time, though. If that tells you anything.
Better production value.
Better production value, yeah.
Oh, here we go. It grossed $3,860,000 in China.
Okay.
Which was the largest gross of all of international.
So it did make money somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess.
Not a lot.
Not a lot. This was directed by Nick Powell, whose IMDb didn't even list him as a director unless you clicked on a separate tab.
It was so hard to find out if he directed anything else. Lucky for us, he has.
Yeah. Thankfully for us, he's only directed 2 films, Outcast and Primal. So we'll get to watch another Nick Powell joint. I can't wait. He is I guess a renowned assistant director, stunt coordinator.
Yeah.
And that's why they chose him to make this movie, because it's heavily, filled with stunts and fighting and stuff. I don't know why this was the movie that they were like, yeah, I mean, this movie is going to suck, so just have him do it. I don't know.
I guess, yeah. Give him a shot. I mean, he worked on Braveheart and what was some other stuff in there? Gladiator.
One of his biggest credits in Hollywood is coordinating the fights in The Bourne Identity.
Yeah, that's another one.
How the fuck do you go from interesting fights like that to this pile of shit?
You take the director and you give him a crew that doesn't speak English in a different country that makes movies completely different than he's used to.
Uh-huh.
And you give him 50 days to film a movie.
Oh, okay. Touche.
50 days is a lot based on the movies that we've talked about in the past that were shot in 17.
But if you watch the direct, I watched the interview with him, and he said they did 50 days of shooting, and he said they lost probably 7 to 9 days on just miscommunication errors and lost time of having to sit around and redo work that he asked them to do that they did wrong because they didn't speak English correctly or misinterpreted what he asked for.
Apparently in China, when you a typical day on the set is you show up and tell them what you want to do that day. Whereas in America, where we have these very, very strict budgets and timelines, you tell your crew what to set up the night before, and then when you come in, you're ready to go. So you start shooting immediately. But he complained in that interview about how it took 2-3 hours sometimes when they first showed up to even get started on anything. So,
yeah.
Jeez.
So I'm not going to give him too much shade. Sounds like he got a really shitty job as his first directorial project.
Well, we'll get into it a little bit in the quick facts, but he also didn't have a finalized script when he showed up on set because their Chinese producer was still working on it and was working on it before, during, and even after, in the edit, was changing things. I don't even know how that works. How do you change the script after you've finished the movie?
Makes a lot of sense. This movie makes a lot of sense now.
So let's table our hate for Primal before we see it, because maybe he did a much better job. The fact that he hasn't directed anything else after Primal makes me think, no, he did not do a good job. But maybe he had different circumstances on that film.
Yeah.
And things turned out better. We'll see. Oh, my God. Written by James Dormer, who has only written for TV aside from this movie and a movie called The Holding, which came out in 2011 and has about the same IMDb rating as Outcast. So not a great track record. I didn't really recognize a lot of the TV. I think most of this crew is Canadian, or potentially even French Canadian, because it was mentioned several times during my research that there were French influences on this French studio and Canadian studio. So I think French Canadian kind of crossover, and then also, a Chinese group of studios that were working on this thing. There's 11 fucking studios attached to this. Thankfully, there are only 3 at the beginning of the movie, which I didn't see Saturn Films, so I don't think Nick was a producer on this thing. Shot by Joel Ransom, who has actually worked on things I've heard of, crazily. Shot 36 episodes of The X-Files, did 5 episodes of Band of Brothers. How do you go from Band of Brothers to this? Maybe he only shot the super shaky war scenes, and that was it.
How do you go from X-Files?
I mean, that had a Spielberg budget. To film stuff.
So X-Files, Band of Brothers, and he also shot 2 of the. I think there are only 2 in the miniseries, the original miniseries for Battlestar Galactica, the one that launched the TV show, which was great.
I think all of those had a bigger budget than
all of them had a bigger budget
than maybe not X-Files, but
I will say aside from X-Files, they all were very shaky cam though, so makes sense. This guy's the shaky cam guy. He's got Parkinson's. He's making the most of it. He shot a lot of TV and then a bunch of just direct to streaming movies. It's a really strange resume. It's fucking Band of Brothers and then something I've never heard of that got a 3 on IMDb. And then,
hey, man's got to work.
Yep. Got to put food on the table. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this guy's name right, but it was edited by, it's either Oliver or Olivier Gourlay. I think he's French. That's one of the 2 editors on this. You notice a trend on the movies that really suck that we watch is there's multiple editors on all of them. I think it's Olivier Gourlay. Hasn't done a ton I've heard of as a solo editor outside of that Transporter TV show that they tried to do.
Oh, God.
It was on IFC or something. And then he did a show called Avenir, which is my favorite font. I don't know how it is as a TV show, but that's my go-to font.
God damn it.
And then the other editor was Nicolas Trembasiewicz.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah. He was the editor on the first Transporter movie. So I guess the other guy's his protege or something.
He brought him along.
I don't know. Both of them seem to mostly work in France or French Canadian. Hard to tell, honestly. I don't know. And then the music was by Guillaume Roussel. It's the first time I've ever encountered the name Guillaume in the wild.
Sounds like you're chewing gum.
Bubble gum, chewing bubble gum over there.
Gollum. Same thing, mostly French productions. Didn't recognize much aside from Rimal. God. And The Expendables 4.
Oh, God.
That's just the best Expendables movie by far. That's when they really got their legs and got going. Part 4. Ratings. This has a 5% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is worse than our last movie, which I didn't think was going to be possible. At 8% on Firebirds, 5% for Outcast. I don't even think it deserves 5%.
No, and guy who gave it a 5, the one positive review on Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 6 out of 10 because it's too bad it's good, or it's so bad it's good.
Yeah,
which I don't think is even true.
No, it's not one of those.
I say we don't count that, and it has an official 0 on Rotten Tomatoes. Because some chuckle fuck saying it's so bad it's good. I love it.
Deadfall has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, but Deadfall is literally the definition of so bad it's good. Like, Deadfall is a fucking masterpiece compared to this. I mean, it's a nonsensical train wreck, but it's like so much funner to watch than this.
Oh, yeah.
So I would argue that one should have gotten 5% and this one should have gotten 0. 3.2 out of 10 on 22 reviews. There's one person who gave it a fresh score, like Nigel said. Does not deserve that one. No. That one 6 out of 10. Audience score was a 23%, which is one of the lowest Rotten Tomatoes audience scores I've ever seen. That is fucking phenomenal. Metacritic score was a 33%. Letterboxd gave it a 2 out of 5, which I think is the lowest Letterboxd score I've seen. Letterboxd, they just immediately are like, it's good.
Yeah.
This is real good. I like movie. There's lots of colors. Pretty sword fight. Neat.
Yeah.
Neat shot, foggy. Me like. So 2 out of 5 that's pretty harsh. And then IMDb gave it a 4.6 out of 10, which is way higher than I think it deserves. I don't understand that one at all. Like, that's thousands of reviews, and they gave it a 4.6. And of course, it did not get a cinema score. What? You would never believe
It's a shame. It could have been in first F that we've seen.
The audience left so early they couldn't give it a score.
Yeah, that's what it was. It's just, hey, there's nobody left in the theater.